Hello, I'm Constance, and welcome to Yarning Over the Days podcast. I thank you for any returning viewers, and also thank you to any new viewers. I really appreciate you taking out the time to come and hear about and see my knitting and crafting adventures and delights. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of the wonderful comments, the likes, everything, because it's just makes me feel more connected with the knitting community and the knitting world, and also the crafting community, which is one of the best communities out there. So thank you all again. You can find me on Instagram and also at Ravelry as Cleo, CLEOCMC, and I also have a blog, yarningoverthedays.wordpress.com, and I will post show notes to the blog. So without further ado, we're going to get started because I have quite a bit to share today and I don't want to prolong the time. So, I've been bitten by the sewing bug starting at the beginning of this summer, and it hasn't stopped at all. I don't know if it has to do with the weather, and maybe the weather is playing a big part with it, but I've still been knitting steadily, but I've been sewing at a much higher rate than I ever have before. At the end of May, I remember stating a goal, and this has been my goal for the past 3 years of me participating in May, of adding more dresses and skirts to my collection. But time wasn't really allowing for it, or I just wasn't getting to it. And so that was my goal again this year. And I really have actually started making efforts to actually reach that goal. And I think that I'm doing pretty well. For example, I started May with 3 dresses that were sewn, and I also had, I think, 2 skirts. Yes, 2 skirts for this year. However, because I've been sewing at a steady rate, I've significantly increased my handmade wardrobe with more dresses, and also I have more skirts. So these previous 2 weeks, I made some more dresses, I made a skirt, and I've also made a blouse. So I'm going to get into sharing that information. Not information, sharing those projects. So the first thing I made was, I did Simplicity 244. This is my third time making this pattern. Is it the third time? Yes, I think it's the third time of me making this pattern. And this is the pattern here. And this, I like this project, or doing it again this time, because in the past when I made this project, I went for the sleeveless version. And I had never done sleeves in a garment before. I don't know. I was building it up a lot in my mind, which is not a good thing. And because I felt as if I was building it up and making it more than it was, then I figured I needed to add sleeves to this version of 2444. And so I decided to add sleeves to this version, and here's the dress. And I worked this dress up really quickly over a weekend, and as you can see, it's not lined or anything. So because of that, sorry, Sarabi. Okay. And because it's not lined or anything, then it worked up really quickly. And I love the fabric. I actually ordered this fabric from Etsy. It was a shop called PFab Designs, if I'm not mistaken. That's sorry, she's playing with this toy. Okay. And it's PFAB Designs. And I ordered it, and I ordered 3 yards. And it was just enough, actually, because the width of the cloth was 45 inches. So I had just enough to do the dress. And doing the sleeves I built it up, as I said, too much, because it wasn't bad at all, and it was quite easy. I actually think it was kind of easier than putting in sleeveless sleeves in a dress. And so I liked how they turned out. And I will insert a picture so you can get the full effect of the dress here. so that's that. And I really like it. And oh yes, I did make some modifications and I wanted to talk about them quickly. The pattern has a center front seam, and because I was working with the limited fabric and the layout, I kind of laid out the pattern pieces differently, and I eliminated or took out the center front seam. And I think that was the only modification I made because the pockets were already at the side. But overall, I'm really happy with this dress and I like it a lot. I like wearing it with a petticoat under, or even on a more regular or casual day when I wore it to work. I just wore a slip under it, and it was really nice. So after I finish the dress, then I wanted a quick project. Even though that didn't take a lot of work, I want a project that I can work on really quickly. So I made another Hollyburn skirt. I love the pattern. Now when I went home a few weeks ago, my mom and I, we were in Walmart, and Walmart, I don't know, they were having this humongous sale on fabric, and they were like trying to get rid of it. And so my mom saw it and she was telling me, you need to get some of this fabric. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, and it was $1 per yard. And I saw this fabric, hold on a second, and I liked the color a lot. It was this kind of mint or aqua color, and I liked it quite a lot. I was trying to see what type of fabric it was, but on the bolt, all it said was 100% cotton. But I really think that it's upholstery fabric probably, because it's a bit thicker than just regular cotton. And it wasn't much left of it at all. And I still really wanted it because I like the color a lot. And so I just got the remaining amount that was left on the bolt. And it was less than 2 yards. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to make my usual version of the Hollyburn skirt. And the Hollyburn skirt comes in 3 lengths. And typically I would make version B. But because I had such a little amount of fabric, I decided to go with version C, which is the shorter version. And I was concerned that it may be too short. I wasn't sure how it was going to look on me, but I went with it and I liked it. It wasn't too short at all. And yeah, it wasn't bad at all. But I still wanted to keep those button tabs that were on version B, so I still added that to version C. And I was just going through my stash, and I've had these buttons in my stash forever. Like, I think maybe going on 5-6 years. I purchased them from Walmart, I remember years ago, just because I thought they were pretty, and I don't even know why. And it was only 1 pack of 2 buttons, and I just bought them because I liked them, not knowing what I was going to do with 2 buttons. But I like buttons, and I like putting them on projects. So it just sat there, and then when I put it next to the skirt, I realized that it was just a perfect match, and so I liked it a lot. And so the skirt is pretty nice. I like it. It's not my favorite skirt, but I know that it's going to get a lot of wear and a lot of use. So Robbie, stop it. And it's going to get a lot of wear and use. And so the one reason I don't like it is because, oh my goodness, even though I wear a slip on there, but maybe it's just the fabric, it wrinkles so easily. I wore it to class. We had this Saturday class that lasted a whole day. And I wore it to class that day, and the day was full, and we were doing case studies and works and group activities. And when I went to like the restroom just to, you know, later on in the middle of the day, oh my goodness, it was so many wrinkles at the back of the skirt, which I didn't like at all. So it's definitely not a favorite skirt, but it is still a nice skirt, and I still really like it. And I know that I'm going to get much wear out of it. And also, when we were at Walmart, they had this fabric right next to this fabric, and I thought it matched it quite beautifully. And when I saw the fabric, I was thinking, oh, that'd be nice to have a blouse to go with a skirt. And so I decided to make a blouse, and I like this blouse a lot, and I like the fabric a lot, quite a bit. And I made it with the intention of matching the skirt specifically. Of course, I'm going to wear it with other things, but I really just, I had that skirt in mind when I made this blouse. Again, this is my second time making this pattern. This is Simplicity 8523. Again, I wanted to practice my sewing sleeves in and setting in sleeves, so I decided to go with the sleeve version, the version with sleeves this time, and that was version A. And last time I made this version without sleeves, but this time I made that version. As I said before, I like this pattern because it's a nice, simple pattern to have. Just, it's like classic garments or classic blouses that just works. I like the fit of the blouses. They just work really well. They look nice with jeans, they look nice with skirts, and so they're versatile pieces. And the sleeves went really nice again. I think these sleeves are set in even better than the dress I just showed you, even though the sleeves for the dress are nice also. And remember last time I was talking to you about how I didn't like my thread loop and it was messy and ugly. And so I was thinking about I was going to crochet my other loop, which I did. But then one of you, the viewers, you told me, oh, I forgot her name, but she told me in the comments, which was really helpful, that they actually sell button loops at the craft store, at the sewing store, that I could purchase that would make that whole process so much easier. So that's the next thing on my agenda, because I know that I'm going to be making more tops like this, and I have another pattern of blouses that uses button loops, and I don't want to go through making a thread loop myself anymore. And I just think it'll probably be more elegant, or I don't know, more professional looking in the back. But this time I did go with the, before I heard this information, I had already made this blouse. And so oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. So Robbie's just playing with her toys so much. And so she's just making a lot of noise, but it's okay. So this time I did do a crochet type loop. I did a thread loop and then I crocheted over the loop using single crochet. And it's definitely neater, but I still want those button loops. And this is the button in the back. The button was the extra button I had from my Agatha cardigan. I used these buttons for that, and so I thought it looked nice with it, and I was just trying to search for any random button that looked nice with the blouse. So it's a nice simple blouse. And I will insert pictures of the blouse and also the Hollyburn skirt here. So I was still on the sewing kick after making those, and I was planning to make another Hollyburn skirt in that denim floral that I showed in the previous episode. However, we started making plans for my mother's birthday celebration, which is coming up this week. Actually, I'm going home for it, and we were going to have dinner, and then we were going to go to the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, which is this venue that has plays in Montgomery, Alabama, and we were going to see Disney's Mary Poppins. My family and I, we all love Mary Poppins. I mean, my dad would watch it with us. I don't think he's like as into it as us, but my dad had 4 girls and my mom also, so she just introduced us, I remember, to Mary Poppins at such an early age, and I remember loving the movies, and my sister is like the biggest fan in the house. So we knew this would be a great birthday gift for her, so we are going to have dinner, then we're going to see the Mary Poppins show. And when we had my dad's birthday celebration last year, we all wore the color blue. I don't know, we just like to do that. It looked nice for the pictures, and everyone had on some type of shade of blue. So this year we decided to, not this year, but for my mom's birthday, we decided to go with the green, the color green. At first they were thinking about doing the color purple. And I think I said before, I don't have much purple in my wardrobe. I have a purple cardigan, but I don't have any purple for real. I have this really, really casual purple dress that's not good for a dinner. And I didn't have any purple fabric to make a purple dress. But then the color was changed to green, and yay, I have a lot of green. So I had this fabric in my stash. And again, this was fabric that I purchased from Walmart a while ago. And again, it was some $1 cotton fabric, very basic. And so I knew I wanted to make a dress. And I was thinking about maybe trying a new pattern, but then I was thinking, no, I want to try something that I know would fit me nicely, that won't give me any worries that I made before. So I made Simplicity 1803. This is my 4th time making this pattern. And initially, I was going to make the same version that I made from the outfit along that had that slight V-neck. And I made that version twice before. Let me see. I was going to make this version here. However, so Robbie, stop that. However, right when I was about to cut the fabric, I was just like, you know, I want to try another version. And I decided at the last minute to try the version there with the notched collar. And that, but I still wanted it to be sleeveless. And I also wanted to add the waist tie. I never done that before. And I thought, you know, it wouldn't hurt to add the waist tie and it'd probably be really nice. So that's what I did. And here is the dress. And here's my waist tie. I really like this dress so much. And I really like Simplicity 1803 because it looks so nice. It looks really nice with petticoats under it. Also, Simplicity 244 looks nice with petticoats. But Simplicity 1803, it really like, I don't know, a petticoat makes the dress look even better to me. And so I made this version, and I will insert an image of the completed dress here. So I did the same thing that I usually do, well, almost the same thing. I did underline the dress in green, and do you remember the last time I was telling you, I'm not sure if you remember, but doing the outfit along, I was telling you about I wanted to switch the pockets of this dress because the pockets typically, according to the pattern, should be here, right in the center. And it does kind of remind me of a kangaroo pocket, having it there in the center. And so this time I moved the pockets to the side. And that made me like this pattern so much more. I mean, now I really love this dress. And so I cannot wait to wear this to my mother's birthday celebration. And also I know it's going to get a lot of wear on a regular average day, quite a bit. One thing that I was thinking about, I wish I had when I was styling this dress, was a navy blue cardigan. Out of all of the cardigans I own, I don't have a navy blue cardigan. And I like the color of navy blue, especially with green. And I was like, oh, I just wish I had a navy blue cardigan. So that's actually on my agenda, to make a navy blue cardigan, because it would be a nice staple wardrobe piece. And I just can't believe I don't own one. And so it would have been so nice to have a navy blue cardigan to wear with my navy blue loafers with this, which I could still do and I could still make, which I'll get to eventually. But I also like how it looks with my green Agatha cardigan, because it does match the green pretty nicely. And so I think that those were the only modifications I added. And that was putting the sleeves on the side. The back is also one of my favorite pieces of this dress. Okay, so now we're in the final finished object for sewing. And, excuse me, this is Butterick 6453. And this is a Gertie pattern. It's funny because I think I showed you previously some of the Gertie patterns I've owned, and I never owned this pattern. And the reason I didn't own this pattern is quite silly. I didn't like the straps. When I was in the store and I was looking in the fabric, in the pattern book section, then I saw that the straps had those rings and it was adjustable. And I was thinking, I don't want to do that. I was like, I don't even want to do that. And so for the straps alone, it was the reason I didn't buy this pattern forever. And I kept seeing it, and there were humongous pattern sales, $1.99 sales, and I was like, nope, I still don't really want it. But then more and more ladies on Instagram and also YouTube started making this dress. And they swapped out the adjustable straps for tie straps. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? I was just happy that they thought of it. So happy. I know that the Crafty Pinup, she made a version with tie straps. And Casey Mara of Creative Musings podcast, she made a version with the tie straps. And there was this other, and I'm subscribed to her, I can't think of her name, the Vintage Pinup. I don't know if that's the correct name, but she made a version with tie straps. And so then I clicked the hashtag on Instagram, and I saw all these beautiful versions with the tie straps, and then I just loved this dress, and I needed this dress. So I went to the store to get the dress. Of course, they had no more versions of it. I was like, oh my goodness. I passed this dress up for weeks on end. And now that I finally want to make the dress, they don't have any left in the store. So I had to go online. But when I went online, McCall's was having this like humongous sale, and the patterns were $1.99. So it all worked out, and I got the pattern for $1.99. And of course, I flocked to this version first when I was thinking about making the dress, because I love flared dresses. It's just so beautiful. I like the poofiness and girliness of them. But then I don't even know. This was a spur of the moment project probably. I don't even know what made me want to make the fitted version. I just I want to try a fitted version, and I don't know why. And so I've had this fabric. And I am actually wearing the dress today. And I will insert an image of the dress here. So I've had this, let me take it off. I've had this fabric in my stash for, oh my goodness, maybe 5 or 6 years, for a very, very long time. I've had it as long as I've entertained the idea of, I think I want to sew one day. And it was fabric that was on sale at Walmart. And I remember buying it years ago just because I thought that the flowers were so pretty. I like floral print a lot. And I need to make more things with floral print. That's on the top of my to-do list, to make more garments with floral prints. Okay, so Robbie has this thing. She has this green toy. And I don't know, when she plays with this little green frog toy, she always makes this, rubs it against her nose. She goes, and I don't know why. And so I'm always looking over there because I'm thinking, it sounds like she's crying or something, but she's not. That's just what she does with this toy, and it's only that toy. And I don't know what that is about at all. Okay, now she's just gnawing on it, so I guess they made up. She's so silly. So I decided to go with the fitted version. And I had just a little amount of this fabric. And I saw, this was a nice surprise, that the fitted version only used 1 3/4 of a yard. And I was like, what? I am so used to making a dress that requires 3 to 4 yards that I was like, that is nothing. Oh my goodness. And it really was less than about 2 yards. And I even have some left, I think. And so I was like, wow, I must have had about 3 yards of fabric, because I still have, I think, about a yard left of this fabric. So I want to make maybe a crop blouse or something out of the remaining fabric. So even though this is a departure from my typical fit of a dress, I like it so much. I like it quite a lot. And the tie straps came out exactly as I wanted them to. And also, yeah, so let me just stand up. Before I give you a full view of the dress, I want to thank Lou from her Instagram name is Wild About Yarn. For the past 3 episodes, I have been saying, let me give you a 380. Let me give you a 380, and I'll twirl around. And I have no idea where I got the number 380 from. It's like I took the 180, which is what the halfway mark, and I mixed it with the 360, and so I was saying 380, 380. And when she told me this, I was like, oh my goodness, she is completely right. And I was saying this for like weeks. Let me give you a 380. I was like, oh my goodness. It was definitely a very hilarious moment. All I could do was laugh. And it was also cringeworthy. But then it was also, it just was a great story to tell. And I told my sister, I was talking to my baby sister, April, and I was telling her about it, and we were just laughing, and then we were just talking later on in the conversation. And I don't even know how this came up, but I was about to say, and then I gave a 3, and she's like, oh, you were about to say it again. And I was like, what is going on? Why do I have that number 380 in my mind? It's like I remember parts of that lesson from school, but I still messed up the numbers. But it's a 360. So I will be giving you a new and improved 360 of this dress today. Okay. I like the neckline quite a bit, and also I like the use of the princessing bodice, but then there are darts that are throughout the skirt and also the back, and it gives it a nice shape. It makes me, let me take off the belt actually, and it gives it this nice curve, and it makes me look quite curvaceous, even though I don't think I'm the curviest or that I have the curviest of bodies, but still I like it a lot. And today I wore it to church. I dressed it up a bit with heels, but I know I'm going to wear it in the future. Yes, I dressed it up today with heels that I wore to church. However, I think that the dress will look nice even with some clean white sneakers. I plan to wear it like that probably this week. And so it's just, I really like the dress. I can't say enough about it. Besides the tie straps, I did everything exactly as it was stated. And it's like, it was just made for me. It fits my body perfectly. I didn't do a muslin or anything, and it's just like the fit is perfection. Someone said on my Instagram when I was sharing an Instagram story while I was making the dress, and she said, Lillian, she said, this dress is magical. And I really agree with her 100%. I think that the dress is just magical because it looks great on so many different body types. I have yet to see anyone make this dress and not look wonderful and fabulous in it. I was just trying to make sure that the shot was nice. And it's just, it's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Wonderful, simple pattern. And I really like it. And I know I want to make more versions of it. And I know I want to make more versions of this dress. I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I was thinking a black version would be nice, but not completely black because it's hard for me to wear completely black just because I'm a person that likes prints and colors. And so maybe a dress that's black but has some type of design feature or element that's not all black or some type of pattern to it. But that's for another day. Okay, that completes all of the finished objects for this episode. I can't believe I made that many things. I really can't. It's just amazing. I think that when that motivation and inspiration gets in me, I just can't stop. I just can't stop creating. And so because I'll also be going home this week and I have a full week, I have class this week, and then also I'll be traveling home in the middle of the week. I know that I won't be doing any sewing at all this week. And so maybe that was my motivation, that I just wanted to get as much sewing done before I left town. And so, but now that gives me more time to commit to knitting and crocheting, which leads me into works in progress. I I showed you in the last episode my Moonlit shawl, which is a design by Cherry Heart, Sandra Paul of Cherry Heart, and it's this beautiful shawl that's not too heavy, but that is just perfect, that I think would be nice to drape over the chest area and neck area. And actually, I need to finish this cardigan very soon because I find myself getting colder and colder in these air-conditioned buildings. I know that we're in the South. I know it's South Carolina. I know it's hot, but I like to be comfortable. I don't like to be freezing cold. And almost every place that I'm at, it is freezing cold. And it's really uncomfortable for me. And I would wear a cardigan that I've been wearing a lot because of the weather has been my Agatha cardigan. And the reason I like that cardigan is because it's high neck and it has these cuffed sleeves that when I get cold, I could pull the cuffed sleeves down and it would like cover my hands up, kind of like a fingerless mitt. And I like that a lot. So I haven't been wearing my V-neck cardigans much because it leaves my chest out and I would get cold in my chest area. So I've been wearing the crew neck sweater a lot. That's why I need to finish a shawl, because then if I'm wearing a V-neck sweater or a cardigan, then I could drape this shawl around my neck and then maybe I wouldn't be so cold. And as you can see, I made some progress on it. Even though I haven't been crocheting or spending much time on it, I still made really nice progress. And I'm like in the middle of the middle section of the shawl area. Then I would have to do that little design element on the end, which I'm super excited about and I cannot wait. So far it has a nice drape, and I know it's going to get drapier when I block it. But this is Knit Picks palette and the color is cream. Other than that, I don't have much to say about it besides it's going nicely. Of course, there was that brief hiccup at the beginning of my making this pattern because there was a correction issue, but now everything's going great and it's working up really well, and I really need to finish it. And I think that I probably will work on it during my time at home because it's a nice project to work on when I'm with my family and we're like talking and looking at TV, and it won't require much concentration, at least not the section where it's just this little middle section that's very simple. And I don't even think that the edging section will be too hard at all. So I hope to get a lot of it done, and then I can cart it around in my tote bag for the remainder of the summer. And also I'm going to wear it, of course, in the fall and winter, and I could carry it around. So then when those cold moments come, my chest will not be as cold, because I've just been uncomfortable this summer in these cold buildings. Oh my goodness. Even today in church, I was so happy I wore this crew neck because I ended up buttoning the cardigan up the entire way, and I was still cold because this section was out. And I was thinking I wish I would have worn a long sleeve cardigan because I wouldn't have been so cold. But yes, so I'm very, very cold natured. And even after church one day, someone shook my hand and they said, "Oh, your hands are freezing." But that's how it is. When I get cold, my hands and everything just freezes up, and whew. Yes, so I am anxious to finish that shawl because while it's pretty, I think it'll also be very, very useful for me. Okay, so the project that's been getting a lot of my attention knitting-wise has been my Vivian sweater. And this is a pattern from one of my favorite knit books, Sweater Girls. I purchased this book because at the time I really, really wanted Susan Crawford's books that had the vintage knits in them. And I wanted them so badly, but they weren't being, they didn't have the print versions for sale anymore. And I mean, they had a version on Amazon for like $1,000+ someone was selling it for, and I was like, whoa. And so I think the books are called A Stitch in Time. yes, Susan Crawford's books, where she takes the vintage patterns and updates the instructions, and I wanted that book so badly. But they weren't selling the physical copies and only the digital copies. And I really didn't want the digital copy, but I wanted the book so badly that I did eventually purchase the digital copy of Susan Crawford's book. And I'm so happy I did, because what I do now is, for instance, I plan to make a sweater from that book, and I just went to the print shop and I was able to go to the pages and print the pattern. And so it's not a biggie, but I would have loved to have that beautiful actual physical copy of the book, and maybe one day I will get it. But I purchased this book kind of as a substitute for me, my fiending for that Susan Crawford book. And so I was flipping through the book and I liked all of the designs. As you can see, this is a nice sample of the designs in the book. But one of the things that stood out to me was this design. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that is beautiful. I could probably make that maybe 5 or 7 more years into my knitting, right? I did not have confidence in myself to make that sweater. But when I like something, I was literally, before I would go to bed each night, I'll open the book and I just stare at the patterns, and that my eyes would linger forever on the Vivian sweater, because I just thought that it was so pretty. I like their color choices, and I just wanted to make it very badly. And at that point, I only done, and I did make this pattern before, and I'd only done one finger and weight project. So I was like, a finger and weight fair out project is out of my league. But then Andy started this knit along. I don't know what it was called. It was like the Christmas sweater knit along. And you would have a year to plan out your knitting of a sweater. And I was thinking, oh, maybe that could work. And so I kept with the kind of color scheme they had, but instead of that pink, I went for red. And so I figured those are the type of Christmas colors. And so I was trying to make the sweater match the knit along. And so I used the green, the blue, and the red, which I thought were good Christmas type colors. Of course, I did not finish it in that year. And not that I wasn't able to, it's just like I lost the motivation for the project. I was moving and I was going to my master's program, and I lost motivation for it. And so it took me 2 years from casting on to finishing that first Vivian sweater. And I finished it and I was like, oh, that was nice. I probably would never make it again. But then I was wearing it one day and I was like, it would be nice to have it in a wool yarn, because the first time I had used a cotton yarn. And I like that sweater a lot, but I'm not the biggest fan of cotton, and I don't even know why I chose to use cotton. And so, but it's nice because I can wear it in the spring and summer. And I do wear it. I actually just wore it last week because it's cotton. But I was like, I would really, really like a wool version of this sweater in different colors and a cozier version. So I decided to make another version. And I showed you, I think in episode 1, the progress. I finished the front of the sweater. Well, yes, this is the front section. And I like it quite a bit. So then when I finished my sweater for the outfit along, I picked this back up and I was again motivated. It's something about this pattern. Once you pick it up, it's so addictive. It's like, I'm always like, oh, let me just finish this blue band here. Then let me finish the green band. And it's just really addictive. So now I'm nearing the end of my back section. And now I'm just pretty much working it evenly until I finish. I've already completed the armhole shaping. And I just really like it. I like it so much. Oh, I did put it, so you can see I made some progress on this because I put that little stitch marker there from last time. So I made progress. And I have plans, my plan is to finish this sweater by fall because I want to wear it, of course, in fall and when school starts, and it's just will be the perfect sweater. Just I like it a lot. And so I think at the rate I'm going though, that I will meet my goal of finishing it by fall, because it shouldn't take me long to finish this back section, and then I'll just have the sleeves. And the sleeves are short sleeves, and so that shouldn't be a problem at all finishing. And I remember last time when I made this sweater, after I finished the front and back section, I felt like the sleeves flew. Like I finished the sleeves within a week, and that was a week with classes and everything, and also working. So that was nice. I like that the speediness that the sleeves worked up. And so once I finish this section, then I look forward to going into the sleeves. And the pattern, I did go down a needle size for all needles. The pattern called for let me see. It called for US size 7, 5, and 3 needles. However, I have been using US size 6, 4, and 2 needles. Yes, and that's how I've been doing it. I was also going for a bit more negative ease than my other version, and I wanted this to have a bit of a closer fit, which I think it will. And because it's a seam project, I've just been measuring it and trying it on like this just to kind of get an idea of how it will fit. And so far I'm really, really pleased with what I've seen so far. So that is my work in progress, and I'm really excited about this project, and I'm most excited. I'll be most excited when it's finished and I get to wear this beautiful Fair Owl sweater. So now that we finished the works in progress, I can talk about the acquired treasures for today's episode. Last week I was telling you that I wanted to make Amy Apple's Cha-Cha cardigan. Here. Which is this beautiful, girly, vintage, retro cardigan that has puff sleeves with a lace detail in the puff sleeves. This nice little detail of crochet around the collar area. And it's made with Quince & Company's Quince & Company's Chickadee. Why did I say fingering? And I wasn't sure about the color I was going to use, and I was telling you that I wanted to, hold on a second, so Robbie has something in her mouth. So, I'm sorry, so Robbie had tore up her toy, and that's why I get so nervous when she has toys, because when she tears them up, and she might ingest or swallow a piece that can harm her. And so I'm always on the search for very durable toys that won't bother her, that's difficult for her to tear apart. And she loves toys, and so I never really know what to do or to get that compromise of getting her the toy but also letting her be able to play. And I took the toy from her because she tore it up and she was about to chew a part of it. So now she's upset. But the Cha-Cha cardigan, as I was saying, it's a nice vintage cardigan with nice details that I'm excited about. I knew I wanted to make a pink version because Casey of Creative Musings podcast made a pink version with purple trim around the collar. And I love that version so much that that's all I could think about. And so I went with Quince & Company's shell. And oh my goodness, it's something about, I have the color card and I was looking at the color card and I liked the shell, but it's something about seeing it in the full skein that the pink is pinker than the sample on my card, which I love, and it's so beautiful. It's just beautiful, and I cannot wait to finish it and wear it. And for the okay, and And I want to use this purple as that trim. And I only need a little small amount of this skein for the trim, but this will be the main color, and I cannot wait to start this project. I thought I was going to cast it on immediately, but once I calmed myself down from my excitement about the project, I started thinking about what projects I wanted to get done and completed. And so I do plan to cast this on maybe when I get back to town, because the thing is, I want to make more headway with my Vivian sweater, and I knew that if I cast this on, this was all I was going to want to work on and knit. And so I decided that first I need to complete my Vivian sweater, or if not completed, make significant progress with it. And so I want to at least finish that back section before I cast this on. And in addition to that, and the reason I want to finish the Vivian sweater is because when it comes to projects, I like to try to have a super simple project maybe I'm working on. The super simple would be the Moonlit shawl. Then a type of medium level / easy project. It might take a bit of concentration, but it's still typically easy. And that was my Anaheim cardigan from the Outfit Alone. And also this project would fill that void of a medium level project, the Cha-Cha's cardigan. And then I have a bit more of a complex project. And the complex project is typically something that I have to work on when I'm at home, usually like the Fair Out projects, because it's not really easy to carry around that many balls of yarn. And so the reason I want to finish the Vivian sweater is because I want to cast on for my Lady Jane Grey cardigan by Alice Starr Moore. And that the cardigan will fit into the complex project that I will work on at the house. And so, of course, I didn't want to have two complex projects. And so I want to complete the Vivian sweater so I can start the Lady Jane Grey sweater. And I want to cast on the sweater for the Lady Jane Grey by fall of this year, because it's definitely a colder weather item, and I want to work on it while it's cold, and also be able to maybe wear it in a deep winter. And so I want to finish the Vivian sweater so I can cast on the next complex project. And then once I feel like I've freed up some space, then I'll feel more comfortable starting another project. But yeah, because I can't, or I don't want to juggle a lot of works in progress. Just having that many things on my mind just boggles it down. And so that's the Acquired Treasure. And this is Quince & Company's Chica D, and the color is Shell. And the color is more than I imagined it could be. As I was saying, the sample didn't do it justice. Seeing it in person, just, oh my goodness, when I saw it, I wanted to make it immediately. And let me see. Oh, I do that. And I found these buttons for 97 cents at Joann's. And I think that they're going to look so nice with this. And so these are the buttons, and they're like this pink type glass looking, but it's plastic. But glass looking buttons, and I think it'll go with that whole vintage feel of the cardigan. So that is the Acquired Treasure. And now we can move into the Archive Treasure, which I'm wearing, and that is the Penelope cardigan by Andi Satterlund. Again, this is another Andi Satterlund pattern. I made quite a few of her designs, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon of making her designs because they're amazing. I made this cardigan in 2015. Well, I finished it in November 2015 according to my Ravelry. And it was part of the Fall Knit Along that Andi hosts. She typically hosts it every year. And I think I participated every year in the Fall Knit Along except for last year, because I was starting my doctoral program, and my mind was really, really, really focused on getting adjusted and getting into getting a good feel for the program and doing the best that I could do in the program. So I didn't do much crafting at all. So that was the only year that I didn't participate in her fall knit along. But I did participate in the knit along that year of 2015. And when I always liked the Penelope cardigan, because I was following her on her blog with her trials that she was having with the fit of the cardigan, and she put it away for a year, then she came back to it. And so when she came back to it, she added this little nice scallop detail, and I just was so happy she finally released the pattern and that everything worked out for her. And when she said we were doing a knit along and I saw the cardigan, I immediately started thinking about this cardigan that I saw on the ModCloth. And this cardigan on the ModCloth, it's very similar to this. It had a scallop detail, but they used the same shades. Like there was this yellow version that I really liked, like it was a pale yellow at the top, and there was this vivid yellow at the bottom. So I was like, I think I want to do that with my cardigan. I want to stay in the same color family, and I want to do maybe a light version on the top and a darker version from that color family on the bottom. And so that's what I did. I used Cascade 220 and Super Wash, and the light color is called Baby Denim, and the bottom color is called Hyacinth. And the pattern actually called for a DK weight yarn. However, someone was asking Andy about the weight of yarn, and she suggested using Cascade 220 could be substituted because its weight is very similar to a DK weight. And she was right, because I then purchased the Cascade 220 Super Wash, and I did my gauge swatch, and I did get gauged with it. And I think I used the needles that was recommended for the pattern. I have to go to my Ravelry page to see. And you can check my Ravelry page if you want further details. But it all went really, really well, and I am really happy with the choice. Cascade 220 Super Wash is not my favorite yarn, but it's a yarn that I like and I can appreciate. It's not as cozy, or the feel of it is not as nice as 100% wool. And so, yeah, but it's all right, and I still really like this cardigan. And I like it so much that I made a second version, and the second version I used Cascade 220 Super Wash. So again, it may not be my favorite yarn, but it's still a yarn that I really like, and it's on my list of yarns that I'll go to. So this is that cardigan, and it's not as cropped as Andy's typical cardigans. It kind of comes here, this like above the hip a bit, and I will button it for you just so you can, and it's quite a few buttons on this cardigan. And the buttons again were purchased from Joann's, and I purchased them at the Joann's in Durham. Okay, I mean, I know that this cardigan has a lot of buttons, and I don't button it usually. Well, I wore a button today at church because I was quite cold. Uh-oh, my belt. Okay. And this is the cardigan. I think it's so, I don't know, girly and prissy, and I just like everything about it. The little details, and I'll give you a 360. And the design comes in the back. And I like the waist shaping here, and also there's some shaping here right at the bottom. And so it's one of my favorite cardigans. I wear the other version more than this version simply because the color is this crimson red color, and it goes with a lot of things in my wardrobe. And so I wear the other version more than this version, but I still quite like this version. And I was happy that it looked really nicely with my new dress that I just completed. And so that's something else to wear it with. And I think that's it. It's a very simple knit, as you can see. Stockinette with the color work here. And that was stranded. And if you think about it, it's not much stranding. But besides that, it's a very simple knit. And I even liked some of the Ravelers that created this design, the ladies on Ravelry. They kind of mimicked the scallop to go over into the shoulder area, which is how the version on the mod cloth looked. And I like that design feature too, but then, I don't know, I really like the original design and this design and layout. And so I thought about it. I did briefly consider having that scallop going to the sleeves, but then I decided that I like this version here, and I just kept the sleeves as the one main color of the hyacinth blue. So that's the archive treasure for today, and that is the Penelope cardigan. How lovely is that name, Penelope? Oh, I like that a lot. So in this final segment, I usually would call it the Catching My Interest section. However, I'm now going to just label it the Catching My Interest / Your Questions section / General Chatter. So, first thing I'll say that has been catching my interest, I briefly touched on it earlier when I was talking about my Vivian sweater, and that has been vintage knits. This has been something that I've been interested in for a while, and I think that's why I like Andy's designs quite a bit, because they're definitely vintage inspired knits with for the modern knitter, meaning they use a heavier weight yarn. And I like that with my schedule because I don't always have time for fingering weight yarns, and being in school and working, it doesn't always work. And as you can see, usually my fingering weight complex projects, they stay at the house and I work on them when I have time, which is why they go at a much slower rate. But I really, really want to add more vintage knits or vintage inspired knits into my wardrobe. And so I've been looking more and more at my book by Susan Crawford, and I told you I had a digital version. And so there was this cardigan here, this sweater, and I think that is so pretty. It's called the Lavender Droplet Jumper, and there's actually a bolero that matches it. And oh, I did print. And here's the original vintage image of it. And she's wearing that bolero over it. But I thought that it was so pretty and so perfect. And so I want to make it. Initially, I had planned on making it earlier this summer. And also, I'm going to tell you how I started looking at this pattern. I mistakenly purchased, I don't even know how I purchased this yarn from Knit Picks. It came. And I checked my order, and sure enough, I did add like 4 skeins of this to my cart by mistake. But I liked it so much that I wasn't going to send it back, and it's called Kumquat Heather. And I think that maybe it was added to my cart. Do you know how like you're browsing online and you may add things to your cart that you don't intend to buy and you may forget about it? And then maybe I went back to Knit Picks one day and ordered something and forgot that it was in my cart. And so I had this yarn. I was like, what am I going to do with all of these skeins of finger weight orange yarn? Now, I quite like orange. I know that orange is not a color that everyone likes, but I thought that this orange was beautiful, and I like that heathered color of the yarn. So I was like, oh, I think I find a perfect project for it. And that's how I went to Ravelry, and that's how I came upon this project. And I was like, that would actually fit my wardrobe perfectly. I also have some orange fabric that, should I make a dress with it? Oh my goodness, but I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't want that much orange on orange. Yeah, I probably wouldn't, but I think that it'll be a nice cardigan. So vintage knits have been catching my interest. And also I've been looking more and more into my Sweater Girls book. And I have plans to make another sweater. And I like the vintage sweaters because I like that they're short sleeve, like blouses that are really nice. Okay, so I plan to make this cardigan. It's called the Bat Top with a keyhole neckline. Let me see if I can find an image of it modeled. I think the model looks so lovely in it, and it's beautiful. And I plan to make that also, and I plan to make that with some yarn that I purchased about 2 years ago during my trip to Copenhagen. Hold on one second. And it's this yarn that I purchased here. It's another very vivid color. I like color a lot, and I like this shade of green a lot. And it is called, but I don't think it has a name or number. I don't know. but it's pretty, and the yarn is, yes, I'll just put it up there. And I bought, I think, about 4 skeins of this when I was in Denmark, and I like it a lot. So I would think that that project that I just showed you from the Sweater Girls book would look really, really great in that project, in that yarn. So that's what's been catching my interest lately. And there's this other pattern I briefly want to talk about. It's the Roses jumper and also cardigan set from the Susan Crawford book. And I've been wanting to make a knit cardigan and sweater set forever. It's something about those that are perfect. And I was looking in the Sweater Girls book, and I was thinking I wanted to make this version. You can see I even took some notes, and there was another, oh yeah, and I don't know, twin set, that's what they're called. I've been wanting to make a twin set forever. And I was also looking at this version here. But then I saw in my Susan Crawford book the most beautiful twin set that had roses around the cardigan and also on the sweater. And I think it was the roses are done with intarsia. And then on the sweater itself, it had little stripes. And I thought it was the most beautiful thing ever. And I think I want to have that project be my first twin set. And so I know Squidney Knits, that's her name on Ravelry, and also think that's her name on Instagram. She made the pullover version, or the sweater part of the twin set. She didn't make the cardigan part. But I really, and in her version is just stunning. Every time I look at that pattern, I see her version, and I just think it's like my inspiration to make that project. And I want to make it so badly. But again, going with the plans of the more complex projects, it's not really high on my list and are in my queue because I have the Vivian sweater going now. Then I'll be working on the Lady Jane Grey. And then I think that the twin set would be my next complex project, which means that I'll probably cast on for that project if everything goes according to plan in summer of next year. So it's going to be a while, but vintage knits have been catching my interest, and I've been making plans for more vintage knits because I just want to really increase my amount of fingering weight projects and vintage inspired garments. Okay, and now I had a question or an inquiry someone on Instagram asked me about, and I want to answer it, and I just hope it helps. She stated that a lot of my knit garments drape very nicely and beautifully. Thank you so much. I love garments that drape nicely. And she asked if I could explain how I block. The garment I was wearing was Andy Satterlund's Hetty cardigan, and it was the pink version I have in Papaya Heather. Now, I do think that drape has a lot to do with the yarn also, in addition to how you block it. Because I'll first talk about my comparison of those two Hetty cardigans. And actually, I'll go get both of those cardigans. I'll be back. So, the cardigan I was wearing was this Hetty cardigan. This is my most worn cardigan, and it is my favorite cardigan slash sweater slash hand knit that I've ever made. And I then made, and excuse it because these need to be washed, but I also, because I like the other version so much, I decided to make a red version. And I do need to wash these, both of them, because they get quite a bit of wear. But, and I wear the red version a lot, and it's not my favorite like the pink version. But as I was saying, I think that the yarn choice has a lot to do with it. This was made with Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes, and tweed. And I don't know, the tweed has a much nicer drape, because then I purchased the Wool of the Andes, just the Wool of the Andes worsted weight in red, and the drape is not the same. And actually the cardigan is a bit shorter because, okay, I was a bad knitter. Because I made the first version, I did not gauge swatch for the second version. I just went with it, and it's slightly shorter, and it doesn't drape as nicely as the pink version. So, as I was saying, I think that the yarn choice has a lot to do with it. And for both of these cardigans, my blocking, I have two types of blocking methods that I do. Sometimes I will spray block a garment. And what I'll do is I will pin the garment according to the schematics that's provided in the pattern. And then I'll simply take a spray bottle with cold water and spray it or just saturate it. And then also, I also want to say that when I pin the garment, I don't have a blocking mat. But years ago, I read on Ravelry, one of the threads, someone said they use a yoga mat. And I thought that that was the most great idea. And so I've been using yoga mats to block my garments since, oh my goodness, since forever. I've never owned a blocking mat. And I think I've only blocked once on a towel. But yeah, so yoga mats are my thing to block on. So I would usually just spray block, and that's how I blocked both of these garments here. And this just has a nice drape. And when it comes to other garments, I use, I use that Rapture. That's the product name. It's called Rapture, Wrapture, by Kristen Amdahl. And I'll put the information in the show notes. Her Kristen, OHMDAHL, that's how you spell her last name. And she's a crochet designer. And so that's how I would typically, that's my favorite way to block because it gives it the best drape. And so I'll just fill up my kitchen sink with cold water and put in a cap full of the Rapture product. And I like that product because there's no rinse required. You just simply dunk it for 15 minutes. And then I would dunk it for 15 minutes, the knit garment. And then I would take it out, wring out the excess water. Then I would get a towel and I would roll the garment in that towel. And then I would just stump it. And I would just stump it until I stump on that towel until I felt all of the excess water was out. Then I would take it to the blocking mat. And the first time that I block the garments, I usually like to pin the garments. But then when I'm just washing the cardigans again, like when I wash these cardigans again, then of course whenever you're washing, then when it lays out is blocking, then I just lay it out flat. I don't block it to schematics after that anymore. So when I rewash the sweaters or anything, then I just soak it and then just lay the garment out flat to block it. So that's my method for blocking. I use two types, the soaking method and also the spray bottle method. And it just depends on, I don't know why sometimes I may flock to one version. Well, I do know why. With the spray bottle, when I wanted to dry quicker and I wanted to wear it more immediately, I use the spray bottle method because it does dry faster. Whereas when I do the complete soak method, then it takes about 2 days to dry. Whereas should I just spray block it, then it takes a day to dry. But I do think that the results are better with the full soak. It just depends on if I'm anxious to wear it. And I cannot wear a garment if it has not been blocked. Because that's when everything just lays so flat and nicely, especially if you're working with lace work, and then it just pops. And even stockinette, it makes the stitches look so even. So I always like to block my garments before I wear them, and that's just how I do. The only things I might not block would be maybe a scarf. I don't think I've ever blocked a scarf or a cowl that I've made. I don't mind putting those on, but when it comes to garments, I have to block it before I wear it. So I really, really hope that helps, and that gives you a bit more insight into my garments. And I thank you for seeing my garments draped beautifully, because that's what I really, really want. I want my garments to fit really nicely, and it's just, blocking is like magic, because you have this scrunched up project. For example, I have this other sweater I made called the Henriette cardigan by Andy. When I was working this cardigan, it was made with a bulky yarn. It was looking all right, but and then the band was kind of like a little wonky. I don't know what was going on. Then I blocked it, and it was like magic. And then this cardigan just laid out perfectly and smoothly, and then it's still one of my favorite cardigans. And probably it's a versatile piece because it's a cream cardigan, but because it's made with the bulky yarn, I don't wear it much except for in the fall and winter. But in the fall and winter, it gets a lot of wear. But blocking changed that garment, and it had lace also in that garment, and it just made it look perfect. So that is your question that you had, and I thank you for inquiring about it. And so if anyone else has any other questions or inquiries, anything you want me to address, I'll try to make sure I do it in the next episode. And finally, I'm going to get into general chatter. And in this section, it's about my life and the shenanigans and things that's going on. And so if you want to time out or get out, then you can, because it's not going to be many crafty bits in this part. So the new school semester will be starting, of course, very soon. I'm still in summer school. Oh my goodness, my schedule is just... So I'm in this summer class. My final exam for the summer class is like on the 24th of August, and then the following day, no, the 23rd, and then the 24th, the following day is when school starts for the semester. It just literally rolls around like that. And so it's like, I haven't been getting a break, but I don't mind this going straight through, because I think that it'll just make my progress, I hope, into the doctoral program go at a more efficient rate, I hope. So the new semester will be started soon, and the previous year I worked at the library, the university library here at University of South Carolina, and I worked at the library in the assessment department. And it's a great job, and I love it, and my supervisor is so sweet, so wonderful, and I've worked there for the past year. And however, recently, one of my classmates, my research interest is archives, libraries, and museums, and that's what I've done the bulk of my work in, and also previous jobs. I worked at museums and also archives, and so my Master of Library Science, also the concentration was in archives and records management. So while I was working in the assessment department, it was great, but it wasn't completely catered to my interest in the archives and museums aspect. However, it did fit the need for the library aspect, and so it was all still wonderful. But my supervisor, she knows that my passion also is archives. But I really enjoyed the job, and I was enjoying working it. But then one of my classmates sent me information about this project that it was called the Giovanni Piranesi Digital Project. And she felt I would be perfect. They were looking for a project manager for the position, someone who oversee the undergraduates and also their research into this. And the project, I said Giovanni Piranesi, I think I'm saying his name right, and he's an Italian he was an Italian artist, and a lot of his work center on images and etchings of Rome, and also his depictions or imaginations of prisons. And so I'd never heard of him before my classmate sent me this information. And so she thought that I would be a good fit for the job, because they were looking for someone who, had experience with, digitization and making those old physical images into formats that work for the public. So that's what this project, it's going to be one part to this project. And so I was like, oh my goodness. And then I was like, I don't know. Am I the perfect fit for it? I'm my biggest critic. And I didn't think I was the perfect fit. I wasn't sure. And so I was like, well, I'm going to apply anyway. Well, I applied for the job, and I sent my information in and my resume, and the man was saying that he's going to be traveling for 2 weeks, but don't get worried if I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. And so I was like, okay. Well, I was surprised when I heard back that Monday from also another leader in the project, one of the key leaders of this project, and she asked if I could come in to meet with her, and she would show me some of Giovanni's work and also to his original images. And so I came in, and it turned out to be, yes, like an interview, a position, and she also showed me the work. It's quite interesting, yet nerve-wracking. You know how interviews go. And I just had to calm myself down and just talk about what I'm passionate about. And I did. Well, long story short, because I've been making this a long story, she offered me the project manager position, which is amazing. I was so excited when she offered it to me. She asked how soon I could start work, and she wants me to start August 1st, which is here. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, yes. I mean, of course I didn't. I had to keep it all. Oh yes, I know, my professional face. But I was literally screaming and jumping in my head at the top of my lungs. So I was telling her, of course, I wanted to give my supervisor enough time, ample time, let her know that I would be leaving my position to work. But knowing my supervisor, I knew that she would be excited for me. And sure enough, she was. When I told her, she was like, oh, this is perfect. This is what you're about. This is what you do. And so I am so excited to work with this project. And so I'm excited, yet nervous, because when you're about to start any new job, any new project with me, I want to do my best. As I said, I'm my biggest critic. And so I don't know. Yes, so I was just like, I hope I do a good job. I want to do a good job. And so but then that's my critic part, or my being hard on myself job. But then there's that exciting part to actually work with this collection, and also the whole digitization process and just this entire project. So I'm forever grateful for the people in my life. I don't know, my classmate who showed me this information, she actually finished her dissertation in defense, and she's done with the program. And we've only met or talked a few times, but you never know. And it's just always been wonderful conversations. And I just never thought that she would think of me when she sent me this information about the position. And I'm just grateful to her for thinking of me. So that's the general chatter in my life. And I'll be starting my new job, a new position really, really soon. I'm really sad to be leaving my old position. But the position is located in the same building, which is the university's library, only it's in the special collections department. So I'll still be in the same building as my former supervisor, and we may run into each other and still see each other. And so she's just wonderful, and it's nice to surround yourself with, even though she's my supervisor, but just to have people around you who are happy for your goals and your endeavors in life. Oh, I forgot to say, I was happy about the position for the job because it's a nice position and job and something I'm passionate about. But in addition to that, one of the bonuses were that which I didn't know about, and the job didn't say, the description didn't say, was that they would pay for my tuition. And I was like, what? That's all I could do. I was speechless. It was so exciting and shocking when she told me that. Yeah, as I was saying, I was just like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, nice. You're trying to put on your interview face and mode, but oh my goodness, that was such a pleasant and wonderful surprise to it all. And I'll keep you all up to date on this work. And oh my goodness, I've been reading much and a lot about this Italian artist, and it's quite interesting and looking at some of his works. So if you want to do that, you can also, or if you'd rather not, then you don't have to. I'm just talking. And that's it. I think that's it for this episode, and I look forward to seeing you all in about 2 weeks, maybe before 2 weeks, because I realize my schedule is a bit off with the podcast episodes because I recorded a few days later for the last episode. So I'm trying to get back on the same schedule that I was. So I'll see you all soon, and I hope to have some progress and some things to show you. Should you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything, suggestions, I appreciate it all. Leave it in the comment section below. You can contact me on Instagram or on Ravelry, wherever. I check it all. Thank you, and have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all later.